The things you don't know that you think you do are numerous.
That is true. That is true.
Counter to intelligence.
Welcome to Counter to Intelligence. I'm Ken, and with me is my best friend ever.
Oh my gosh, Tom, the
Yeah,
debunker.
yeah, like that. You're like not. Yeah, that threw you off. You're like,
I,
oh
di-
wait.
I yeah, I looked around. I was like,
You're like, wait, is
who's he
somebody
talking
else here? No, it's you.
about?
Today at
So
this
honored.
very
I love
moment.
this. My best friend. This is great.
Yeah,
We need to do an in-person episode now. Being
yeah.
besties. We should
No,
probably do
I'm not ready for that commitment.
that.
Yeah, I'm best friend at a distance.
Right. No, that makes sense.
At can't get too close and it's uncomfortable. So this episode is sponsored by Modelo. Just kidding. It's not. Sorry. Am I allowed to say that?
I
I
don't know
don't
if
think
you
Modelo.
can.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to listen. So we'll be
That's
all right.
probably true. How about like if
It's
Modelo would
free
like to
advertising,
sponsor
though.
this? Yeah, that's true. We should monetize this episode just for them.
Just to let you know how frightening this is, my wife had a Christmas party and they brought Modelo over, and this is from Christmas. And we're
Oh,
now in February.
that's okay. That is
So
frightening.
it's been well. They had brought so much over my fridge. It looked like I love Modelo, which I don't dislike it, but it's there. But slowly, because I don't drink a lot. So
Right.
there you
This
go.
is the big episode that you're drinking
Yeah,
then for this
yeah,
episode.
yeah. It
Is
is.
that what the Bermuda Triangle has driven you to? Is
Yeah, it
drinking?
has. It has. So yeah, so we're doing the Bermuda Triangle
Yeah.
because that's what we said we wanted to do, and so which actually I think we talked about. It's the Bermuda Triangle is something that we both growing up we were really interested
Yes.
in,
Read the books.
and yeah, read the books, and then when I was like 10, my family, my parents and sister and some friends of the family went on one of these. It's called a barefoot cruise, where it was just big, like 40, 50-foot sailboats, and you're on the sailboat and you kind of like help. And we were in the Bermuda Triangle, and we were sailing around. It wasn't purposely like, oh, we're going to the Bermuda, but where we were at cruising around the islands, it was the Bermuda Triangle, and we made it back alive. And so, but
Wait,
it
so
was
this tour, you said it was called a barefoot, not a Bigfoot
yeah,
tour.
barefoot. So
Okay.
basically you're on this boat and you're kind of like the crew. So there's a captain and a first mate, but you help do the sails and you help do everything. And when you get your food, you dive under the water and you bring up lobster, or you go spear fishing and you bring yeah. So you
You
do
dove
all
under the water and pulled up lobster? Like
yeah,
this is
yeah,
impressive.
yeah. And they're down there, they're huge. They're big.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah, they
yeah,
are
they're
big.
not like these like little things. They're like, and at 10, it was like half my size. It was like huge. But yeah,
Lucky you survived the lobster
yeah,
incident.
I did. I was very lucky. But let's talk Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, let's
So
talk
so
about it.
I so basically what is the Bermuda Triangle? It is a triangle, and it's approximately at 25 degrees north by 71 degrees west. And basically it's a triangle goes from Bermuda to Puerto Rico and Florida, and it's in the northern Atlantic
It's
area.
weirdly equilateral, right? The
Yeah,
sides are
yeah,
pretty much the same.
right.
Yeah.
And it's also called the Devil's Triangle because that's ominous. And it's known for mysterious happenings from lots of airplanes, uh, lots of boats, and paranormal stuff happening on islands and stuff. People seeing ghost ships. Um,
The Bigfoot cruise
Hearing
you
things.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
barefoot cruise people, whatever. But so the term Bermuda Triangle, uh, that area throughout hundreds of years has had stories and things going weird there. But the name was first mentioned in 1950 by a guy named Edward Van Winkle Jones, which I love
Winkleton.
that name,
I
Edward
love it.
Van Winkle. It's almost like Rip Van Winkle, but it's
Yeah.
Edward Van Winkle Jones, and he wrote an article for the Miami Herald, and he called it the Bermuda Triangle. So he coined the name. Um, but So the key, like some of the key incidences I looked up were like Flight 19, which was in 1945, which was the 5 U.S. Navy planes that just vanished on a training mission. Another thing was a thing called the Star Tiger in 1948, which was a British South American Airways plane that just vanished. And the Ariel in 1949 was another plane that just vanished. There's also been various smaller ones, like smaller planes, but these were like the big deal. Uh, 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 the it's roughly 1.5 million square miles of area, so that's a huge area.
That's huge.
So, some of the I want to get through some of the well-known other incidences. In 1880, there was a boat called the HMS Atlanta or Atlanta, not the Atlanta, but it was a ship from England, vanished. Then you had the USS Cyclops, which was a U.S. naval boat that had 306 people on board, and it was in 1918, and it left Barbados, and it vanished. Its two sister ships were the Proteus and the Nereus. They also vanished. So 3 ships just gone. Then you had in 1921 the Carroll A. Deering, which was a schooner, vanished. Then obviously Flight 19, the Star Tiger incident. Douglas D3, 1948, had 30 people on board, left Puerto Rico, headed to Miami, vanished. Like no maydays, nothing, just gone.
Nothing, just gone.
And same thing happened with Flight 19. No maydays, anything, they just gone. And in fact, one of the search planes was a big it's called a Mariner. It's a huge plane, and they were searching. It vanished too.
Wow.
Like one of the for the Flight 19 group. Another was the Connemara in 1955. It was a big yacht. Everyone on board was gone, but the ship was found. So it was like, and none of the like life rafts or anything. Now one of the skeptics said that, they think it just got pulled away from the dock and floated away. But the weird thing is, the owner never claimed it, and no one knows where the owner is. So they know who the owner was, but they're trying to say, it just got pulled away. But the owner, no one could find it, and no one has ever said, that's my boat. Here I am. I want my boat back.
I would want my boat back. I think,
those are expensive boats. It was a big boat. It was a 45-foot yacht. Then in 1963, 2 U.S. Air Force planes, they believe collided midair, but they vanished. They were en route. And this is one other weird one. They could see the radar, and it looked like they were coming towards each other, and then they both disappeared. When rescue workers went out to that area, could find no wreckage. So there's no oil slicks, nothing. But they're gone. But they're like, they collided. But you would think there would be some kind of evidence, because they went out there pretty quick.
Right.
Now, another, and a lot of it, you're hearing like 1963. So that's odd. Well, in 2005, this is the last like big one. Wait, no. There was in 2005 a Piper PA-23 disappeared. Another airplane vanished. Then in 2020, we had a boat that was carrying 20 people gone.
Right.
And the Coast Guard searched for days, found nothing, found no boat, and no one's ever seen anything. Some people think it might have been modern day pirates, but again, no known. Nobody's like nobody found it. Like the thing is, if it was pirates, you would think they would have sold the boat or parts of it or something, and there's been no evidence of that. Do you want to hear some of the explanations, the natural ones?
Well, I would love to, because I'm looking as well, and I think there's a whole premise here that any of this is unusual, right?
Mm-hmm.
That So that's what a guy found out. The guy wrote a book
Yeah.
about this called the Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved
Yeah. Oh,
in
okay.
1975. And so he looked from 1840 to 1973.
Hmm.
He found that the person, Charles Berlitz, who wrote the Bermuda Triangle, um,
Hmm.
he was the first person. This other guy was the first person to say that something weird was going there. But he said that actually Berlitz, couldn't get his facts straight, and
Oh,
so there wasn't a lot of documentation. So that's the first debunking is it
in nine.
even more likely that these incidents happen here than anywhere else on Earth? Because a lot of folks think that that's not the case.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah,
This,
that guy says it's not as big a deal as anywhere else.
right.
Right.
And Lloyd's of London, when they look at insurance, the rates for ships are not any higher there than they are in the rest of the world because the incidence of it is not any greater than it is in the world, given the fact that a lot of ships travel there. So there's a lot of ships that it's a popular
Mhm.
ocean. So,
Okay. All right.
so debunk number one. What do you think of that, sir?
I, th- I I think it's someone that has no imagination and is a jerk and probably drinks Pabst Blue Ribbon, unlike me.
Instead of Modelo. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what it all comes down to
Yeah.
is the Modelo, honestly. But let's continue because you had more ones, and there was one I have to admit that I read up on, which was a time travel one. Have you read about this
Oh
one?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to
Are you
those.
going to get to it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, there's here are the natural explanations.
All right.
They're saying there's a magnetic anomalies, and I've seen shows where they try to show like, yeah, and they think that's what happened to like Flight 19, but I don't know if that happens all over the world. Those magnetic anomalies, I'm sure they
Right.
can. Like something can affect the system. Another is that the Gulf Stream goes through there, which is a pretty powerful current, and that's why the debris is gone so quickly and they can't find it. But I still feel like you would see oil slicks and stuff.
Right.
Um, they say that now there was a movie, I don't know if you saw, it's called White Squall.
I've
Uh,
heard of it. Yeah.
yeah, so they see there's violent weather anomalies which are that happen in this area. But I get they do happen throughout the world, like, but
Right.
these weather and for a long time people said this is made up, but
Right.
then there was this incident called, and there was a movie done about it. It was called White Squall, and if you see it, it's a great movie. It actually doesn't take place in the Bermuda Triangle. It takes place, I think, in the Gulf of Mexico, but
Okay.
it's basically this crazy storm that just came out of nowhere
Right.
and sunk this boat like in a matter of seconds. And I think there was a crew of like 20 people on board and two people survived.
Oh, wow.
And so it was, and people were like, oh, that's BS. That's no way. And I think the only reason they were able to prove it was through radar, that they could find, hey, this is where we were. And they see this storm just like form fast and then gone.
Right.
And the pressure of it was great. But so you got those violent things. The other thing is, and this is one that people for a long time thought was bogus BS, was bogus. I guess I didn't have to say bogus BS.
Wow.
It's the same thing.
BB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bogus.
BBS.
I gotta use
So
that like when I'm arguing with somebody. That's
yeah,
bogus BS.
that's
You know?
BB. That's BBS. Yeah, it's more than BS. It's BBS. So yeah, bogus BS.
There.
It's called methane hydrates,
Yes.
and where the methane gas under, like, because their methane comes up through the water and it makes it so that the boats lose their buoyancy and sink super fast.
Yes.
And they said for a long time, they're like, oh, that's not real. That's not a real thing. But now they know it does happen, and it happens. It does happen there in the Bermuda Triangle. There is another triangle on the other, and this is an interesting thing. I guess if you take, so this is for those who believe in a globe, and not like if you believe in flat Earth, this doesn't work. But if you believe in the globe, it works. If you take an arrow from the Bermuda Triangle and go straight through the Earth to the other side, there's
Right.
another triangle in the Japan area.
No.
And they also report these strange, and I can't remember the name of it. And I feel bad about. I should have wrote it down, but they also report methane hydrates in these things. So is it a chamber that goes across the earth that this methane gas? And they do now know it's been recorded. They've seen it. They know that this does occur occasionally. It's not like, I mean, like when I grew up, I used to think quicksand was going to be a bigger deal than it was.
I
Because
was
like
worried about it when I was little.
because every like Gilligan's Island and Scooby Doo, Batman, Super Friends, everyone had quicksand was killing people.
It was,
Even in Blazing Saddles, man, they almost lost a hand cart to quicksand.
that was like my childhood fear. I thought it was everywhere because it was in
Yeah.
all the shows, right?
Yeah.
And then I did Boy Scouts growing up, and they trained you. They had a
What
whole
to
thing
do.
on like how to get out of quicksand. What do you do?
Yeah.
Which I know, in case you don't
You don't
forget,
wiggle.
you don't wiggle.
Yeah.
Wiggle's bad.
Yeah.
You're supposed to like lie flat and like
Lay flat,
up.
and then
Yeah.
it's very similar to like thin ice, breaking ice.
Yes.
You don't stand up, you lie flat and
Yeah.
crawl.
But that's amazing that that was in our childhoods. They were freaking us out. I need to talk to the parents of the 80s kids.
Yeah, well, like these methane hydrates are very similar to quicksand, only it's water, but they aren't. They're. It's not like if you go sailing. Oh crap, we are gonna get methaned.
Right. Oh,
there's
yeah.
not all these cows underwater farting. So you don't.
Now, are you ready for the debunking of the methane? Because this might be a double debunk. This
Go
could
ahead.
be the first
Go
ever.
ahead. Go.
So first, is mysterious forces, and then
first you're going to tell me there's no cows underwater.
There's no cows underwater. I'm sorry to tell you that. Like
what? Then what is a sea cow? A manatee, and I debunked your debunking.
Oh wow, this might be a triple debunk.
A school of manatees farting takes out a boat. Now go ahead, Voda. I want to hear it.
No, it's so true. So okay. So the first debunking was, well, it's not supernatural forces, it's methane, right? That's what's going to do it. But then a double debunk happened because, according to Wikipedia, which knows everything, the methane activity has not really happened very much for the last 15,000 years. There's been no noted things like that have occurred.
Yeah,
so
because the people that it happened to don't survive to tell you.
They become the methane.
I mean, it's like, we haven't had any reports of it. Yeah, because those people are all dead. Wikipedia. Dead people can't update Wikipedia. It's impossible.
Well, I just realized it's the circle of life for Bermuda Triangle. Is the people that die become the methane and they come back.
Yeah, it's the triangle of life, not the circle.
The triangle. Wow, it's all right there.
Yeah, Lion King had it wrong.
Yeah,
it's a triangle. All right, so those are the natural explanations.
I like those. Yeah.
All right, so now let's go on to the paranormal hypothetical theories. First, we'll go. These are the real ones. This is what's really happening. There's the Atlantis connection. Some claim the lost technology from Atlantis causes disruptions linked to the Bimini Road near the Bahamas. Have you heard of the Bimini Road?
No, I need to.
Okay, well, that you can look it up. You can actually find it on Google Earth. And I should have wrote down the coordinates, but if you type in Bimini Road, you'll see and it's.
Oh, I see it.
I don't know that, like, I've read up on Bimini Road, and a lot of people think that's where Atlantis is. And eventually we need to do the where's Atlantis, because I have some theories, but I don't think Bimini Road. Yeah. Okay, let's do Atlantis next week.
Yeah.
So Bimini Road, it's these like big blocks, and it looks like a road underwater. There's a lot of places that have similar things, like over in Japan, over in Australia, over off the coast of Spain. Different places have these things, and people are like, oh, it proves there's underwater. That must be where Atlantis is. But there's like multiple places, but a lot of these can be formed by natural currents and water. And because it's also like a lot of I think the Bimini Road, and I could be wrong, and I may be wrong, I believe it's sandstone, which is very easy to change, and water smooths it, and it's underwater. And so anyway, so they're kind of I'm debunking the Atlantis thing. Like, so I don't think it's Atlantis technology, but that's one of the things people believe. Oh, it's Atlantis technology that's under the ground and it's screwing us up. And those crazy Atlanteans, you
Right.
know,
They're down there just
yeah,
pulling the strings.
yeah, they're getting back at us, Earth air breathers. But all those mermaids. Now here's one you'll like, which is the time-space warp. Speculation about parallel universes and time distortions. And I think you and I talked about this
Yes.
a week ago off air, and we were talking about the plane that took off and had like a missing hour or something.
Yes. It took off
And
from Bermuda, right? And went to
yeah,
Miami or something.
yeah, and it flew, and it either arrived 2 hours late or something like that. I think it was like late.
Or gain time. Oh, gain time. One gain time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or yeah, it arrived earlier than it should have.
Then it should have.
And to the people on board, it seemed like a normal flight. To the people there, and I couldn't find the name, the flight number, but I remember like it's a big deal. And to the point that people have made TV shows based off of that idea. You have like Lost and various other shows were based off of like this plane either going down or losing time. And then, so you have that, so people believe there's some sort of anomaly in the Bermuda Triangle where people are that's why they're disappearing.
Yeah.
In fact, if you go back and watch the movie Close Encounters of the First Kind, like Spielberg did with Richard Dreyfuss, that at the end of the movie, or near the end of the movie, when the alien ship opens, all the people who were lost in the Bermuda come off the spaceship. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
I believe it. I thought it was the First Encounters. Like in my mind, that's what I remember. Maybe it's the Mandela.
I mean,
we'll go over one day too, but. But I remember, I thought I remember like there were like these people like the Flight 19 crew, and whereas
I didn't know who they were, but the people got off, right?
Like people got off, and it was all the people from that disappeared from Bermuda Triangle. There's also was a TV show, Terra, I think it was called Terra Forma or something like it. It was an old TV show, and that was very similar where they were going back in time to prehistoric Earth, and something happened. They got stuck in prehistoric Earth, and they are from way in the future. And then they came around this at one point, and it was a great TV series. And it was very disappointing that they canceled it after one season, because they turned this corner and they get to this valley, and in the valley is all the wreckage from all the things that disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, wow.
And the people were there, and it was like, what? And then, we're not doing a season 2.
That's a horrible way to end it.
Yeah, it seems like every time I find a show I really like, that's what they do to it.
Yeah.
The other one is UFOs, which there we go, back to Close Encounters.
Drones. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not drones. UFOs.
Oh,
aliens, unidentified
Got it.
flying objects. And the reason, and Bermuda is another area where it's a hotbed of people seeing UFOs. And I think what's the other? Unidentified underwater objects. People are seeing things underwater going,
right.
They claim to see. And then the last was obviously supernatural forces, which would be like, ghosts and demons and
right.
stealing our tech to build their drones to fly in Jersey. Because despite what Trump said, that it was all okay, I still think it was demons.
I mean, yeah, that's true. We got to go back to that for a minute, because he did
make the announcement.
Then the announcement was there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Which is still suspicious to me, because something clearly happened. But then
there was something to see there.
There was something. I don't know if he kept his promise then, right?
Yeah.
He said he was going to
he said he was going to tell us what he found out, and that is what he said he found out.
Well, maybe that's what he found out.
So and then the next promise was the JFK stuff, which in a few weeks we'll find out what that is, and we'll dive into that again and see what if it solves or just makes more questions.
But
So
maybe it all leads to Trump because maybe Bermuda Triangle, we need to get an executive order on that, like to release all
yeah.
the stuff they know about that.
Yeah. So like I so those are all like the why things happen. And I obviously you already explained the one critic who said like basically uh all the things are relatively happening all over the world. And I found most of critics say and critiques of it are it's human error, severe weather conditions,
Yeah.
and known oceanic phenomenon. And this guy Benjamin Radford, which I think he debunks, he goes around trying to debunk most of them, saying that it's just what happened. It's like it's no different than any other part of the world. But
Yeah, ocean's
so
kind of a dangerous place. So
yeah, and maybe they are.
Yeah.
But
they also think it's due to the stuff that grows there underneath, right? It's there's a lot of formations in the Bermuda Triangle, that could pull these, it's very hard. Actually, I was on a cruise there. The ships have to be really careful about how they come into port because they'll get caught up on all this stuff. So
yeah, there's
the other thing they think.
Yeah, there's rugged. Well, there's like rock formations and stuff that look further down than they are.
Yes.
And so they think that's what a lot had to do. But I find it interesting. A lot of the ones were like, because they tried to say it was like natural storms and stuff, but most of these, the weather wasn't bad.
Right.
There was no, unless it was like a white squall incident, and where this storm came up out of nowhere, then dumped its rain and stuff, and then went away. But that would only really deal with the boats that vanished.
That's true. It wouldn't explain the plane.
Doesn't explain. And the Flight 19, I think, is very odd because that was like a naval flight, and that's the most famous one. They still can't really explain what happened, where they seem to be flying, and and it wasn't like bad weather again, as far as I could find. And a lot of them's like, well, maybe they were just following their instruments, and maybe the instruments were off. But my mind is like, okay, you're flying a plane, and even if your horizon thing goes off or you're using your instruments and you start to go down and you're like, hey, that's water, I'm going to pull up.
Right.
And why would the 5 other planes just follow the one guy going down? Like, you'd think of the 5 planes, at least one of them be like, hey guys, we're going down. Like, why would all of their instruments, like all 5
go
planes,
down at the same time?
Yeah. And the rescue plane disappeared.
Yeah. Well, what if it's sunspots? I mean, that's legitimate. Like, I don't know what the sunspots were on that day, but like, what if it did actually blow out their instruments or something?
Yeah. But you would still think, even if it blew out the instrument, as they were going down, one of the guys would be like, hey guys, anyone else notice that all we see is water coming up towards us? Should we pull up? You would think one person
would figure that out.
Yeah, one of the 5. And then what happened to the rescue plane? And it had a crew of like 4 or 5 on board, because it was a bigger plane.
It was a bigger, yeah. Somebody, one of the passengers that was not flying the plane, would have like yelled out, "Hey, like I see the water." Yeah.
And none of them called for a mayday. None of them were like, "Mayday, mayday, hey, this, hey."
Yeah, they were actually talking for a while, right?
Yeah, they were just talking, "Hey, we're off this," and they were giving their coordinates.
Yeah,
and then radio silence.
Yeah,
and it was like, so.
Yeah, and then apparently one guy was heard saying, all planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall when the first plane drops below 10 gallons. So they were running out of fuel too.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And it's like they didn't know what direction they were headed.
Right.
I do know that they lost their like bearing on where they thought they were. And so, that's another strange thing that
it was. All were confused, and then they actually were told to change like radio stations and stuff, and they did that, and then they said, I cannot switch frequencies, I must keep my planes intact. So why could he not switch frequencies? I don't understand. So, that's totally mysterious.
That is weird. So what do you like? You debunked the methane thing, saying that
right?
there are no cows underwater, and according to Wikipedia, which I'm now disappointed in you, that
Right.
that was your. They say that those incidences don't happen, and I already debunked them by saying that the people it happened to are unable to report it because they're dead.
Right. That's the best debunking I've ever heard of, by the way. That
Yeah,
was really good.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the Flight 19 one is the weirdest one to me, right? Because they were
yeah.
talking and they got lost and then they went out after them and couldn't find it. And I don't know. But if you think about it, we haven't found other planes either. Like with all our modern black boxes and all the stuff, there's
Yeah.
been other
Yeah.
planes.
All they now I have been told that now this is a like just a more there is a fringe group out there that one of the things that they're saying is happening is that so which we can get into this one at a later date. The full conspiracy on this is that it goes back to NASA
Oh,
and that uh but this only works with from 1960s onward. Like the ones before that, this conspiracy, this theory does not work. They're saying that the NASA rockets, you see them go up, and that we are not actually getting out of the atmosphere, that we are unable to, and that it's all a hoax, like that we've never been to the moon, we've never, and so we're shooting rockets up, but the dudes aren't actually on there. Like it's all smoke and mirrors to
look at
make,
me.
yeah, to make Russia and China think we have made it. We won the space race, but we never did.
We,
But
we're lost.
but what's happening is the rockets were going up and they're sort of crashing into the ocean, into the Bermuda Triangle area. And
Uh,
so then when boats were going over or planes were going over and seeing, hey, that looks like rocket boosters down there. Why are there a ton of them there? Oh, the CIA, NASA took all those people out.
they launched the methane bubble and that was it.
Yeah. So that is one of that's a see, I didn't add that one. I wanted to wait. But that's a whole nother conspiracy we can get into, the whole moon landing, which we will get into
Oh, we need
at
to do
some
the moon
point. But
landing.
we're gonna do Atlantis next. But
I met someone who is absolutely convinced the moon landing did not happen, and I
I
find it fascinating.
I'm on the fringe on I'm not that it didn't happen, but I think the videos and stuff we have of it are not real. I think those were staged because the technology back then, we did not have I don't think we had the ability to shoot that footage back to the earth to see it.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Like,
I'm gonna have to research that.
so, but that's for a whole nother time.
Maybe they have
So,
secret 4K video. They were more advanced than we realized.
yeah, maybe, but see, I'm just saying, like, I have my doubts about not that we
No, that we didn't go there, but could
get
you?
there, but that the footage we were seeing
Right.
was pre-done, and it gets into the Stanley Kubrick stuff.
Yeah.
But see, I go in a different direction. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it was all faked in Stanley Kubrick."
Right.
I think he was involved, but I think he was involved because, like, well, we just had no way of showing it.
Right.
So it was done on a sound stage and blah blah blah, and but so that they could show it, because as if you, well, that's a different debate. So we'll
I
get
can't
into
wait.
that.
I can't wait
Yeah.
to dig into that one. We're lining up our codes here. This is good.
Yeah. But the Bermuda Triangle, I think something weird is happening there. And I do think there's a connection to the one on, and I'm going to tell you where it is, because that's going to drive me nuts if I don't tell you.
Well, it's obviously all part of a portal system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Bermuda. So
Is
it's
it
another
literally on the
triangle.
opposite side?
Yeah,
Like,
it is. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I think it's off of the coast of Japan.
Oh, your light went off, by the way. You look even more nefarious and yeah.
Oh, did?
Or so. Oh, now you're back.
Oh, okay. It's probably because I typed on. Yeah, okay. It's it's in the Devil's Sea, and it's called the Dragon's Triangle. And that's what I thought it was, but it's like, and is directly, I think if you drilled a hole through the globe,
Right.
it would be directly on the other side.
Oh my
And it's
God.
called the Dragon's Triangle. And they have just as many weird phenomena. And it's just interesting because it is literally the opposite side of the earth. But I guess no matter, you can kind of do that kind of stuff, just how whatever angle. Like, well, if you go like at this angle, it's the opposite side.
Oh, that's
So,
true. I guess you could
but
go
like
straight
how,
through many different ways.
well, yeah. Or if it is a flat earth, if you took a needle and went do 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 like that, you know how like
Right.
sometimes you put it through, like
Yeah.
if you do it would connect too.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it work no matter what for my theory.
I love your theory. You're like, yeah, if I take
Now,
all kinds of random angles, I can go anywhere.
but here's and this could be why too. I'm throwing this theory out here, because this is the way my mind works. So we now have polar north and polar south, correct? Right. So, and at one point, people believe the world was Pangea. Or right?
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's
where
it.
it was one big landmass.
Yeah.
What if? And then there was something that happened, catastrophic, that ripped it apart. What if that was the polar north and south shifted? So maybe it was like this, and the world was spinning like this, and then all of a sudden, and it like moved to the new polar north and south. And what if previously the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle were the original polar positions, and the Earth spun this way, and then they shifted, Pangea ripped apart, and now we have a new polar north and south. And that's why people's instrument panels wig out in the Bermuda Triangle and the Dragon Triangle.
Yeah, it does move. I mean, the pole, what's north does move.
Yeah. So whether it was this catastrophic event like a asteroid, moon,
right,
global flood, biblical thing.
Biblical flood, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
What if maybe that's why there's remnants of these weird magnetic anomalies.
You're blowing my mind right now. That could be, honestly. Like, I kind of wonder. Now, I don't know if the Earth would change how it rotates, though, right? Just the magnetic.
I don't know. Yeah, the magnetic moved. Yeah, I'm just saying it moved. And so then, like, maybe it didn't stop. It still rotated the same way, but it ripped the major catastrophic event. The fountains of the deep opened up, and then the firmament poured down. Some dude built a boat, and his family was fine.
Oh, it sounds very familiar. Yeah.
And then at the end, when it dried up, what did he do? He made a vineyard and made wine and got drunk. And there's nothing wrong with that after what he went through.
You can't jump to that, honestly.
I just jumped to a completely different thing, but no. So that theory about that just popped in my head. I was thinking about it.
It makes more sense, honestly, because that would explain the instruments.
Yeah, and there could be remnants of the magnetic field there, even though it's no longer. Right. It was there for whatever. Yeah. Thousands of years.
Maybe it changed some magnetic stuff underneath the sea or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that would. I don't know. We have to keep the imagination open. I learned this earlier. So you do bunkers.
Yeah. So you go with it's no different than anywhere on the planet.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's that different. We just talk about it more, right?
So you don't like flowers and colors and sunshine, you just want everything black and white.
That's true. I do like it black and white.
You probably like your chili to just be ground beef.
I do.
No spices or anything in it. Just a bowl of ground beef. Your wife's like, here's some chili, honey. And it's like just ground beef, nothing else in it. This is the best chili ever. Golly.
I got to spice up my life with these. I should believe more. I should believe.
Yeah. We're like the Scully and Mulder, and I can't remember who was who in that.
I don't know which was which.
Fox Mulder and Scully and
Agent
Mulder.
Scully.
I can't remember who was who in the X-Files, and that's sad
Yeah,
because it's
that
been
is.
so long. But I'm the David Duchovny of the team here. You're the cute redhead.
Thanks. That's best I've ever.
Jillian, is it Jillian Anderson? I think
Gillian
that's who it is.
Anderson, I think so. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
best I've ever looked.
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember their names on the show other than Scully and Mulder, and I don't know who was who, but I know their real names.
I think the guy was David Duchovny was the believer.
Yeah, he was the believer, and
he
Jillian
was the
Anderson was
skeptic.
the skeptic.
Yeah.
But then they fell in love.
Yeah.
And-
Let's
Yeah.
hope it doesn't go quite that
No,
way.
I don't think this is gonna happen.
Different arc to the story.
Yeah, different arc.
Yeah.
So, because we're both married, we're happy.
That's
So,
right.
But yeah,
But I am excited to do the X-Files episode. Like, I wonder if we could do an episode where we go into the X-Files and see if there's anything real in there, right? From
we could like they base a lot of them are based on actual folklore and events. And there was another great show too, which I'd like to get into, which is I think it's Operation Blue Book.
I've heard of that
Yeah,
one.
and that's interesting. And we obviously will get into Roswell too, because I have a connection to that because I grew up near Wright-Patterson and I have some good stories about that because that's where they originally took the Roswell stuff, was to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Oh, wow. Close
Yeah.
to you. So you're
Yeah.
involved.
I am involved slightly, but I have a cool story which I'll share when we get to that. Actually, I have a couple cool stories involving Wright-Patterson, which we'll get
Now,
into.
do you know about, so I just recently found this one, is the Skinwalker Ranch. Are you familiar?
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I know all about Skinwalker Ranch.
There's a whole
We'll get-
show about it.
Yeah, there's a whole show, but I was into it before that show. I
Oh.
got some. Yeah, I read the books on it and stuff. Yeah, we'll get into all that. So at the end of this, I think we've come to the end on this
I
one.
think so.
I think something weird's happening there still. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily. I don't believe. I'm gonna say one. I don't think it's an Atlantis. I don't think it's UFOs. I'm gonna fall into that. There's some sort of supernatural possibility because I think demons like to steal our stuff, and possibly time warp because we both talked about that one airplane.
That's
that
true.
there was a weird time
It's
incident.
a weird time
there.
thing, documented. Yeah.
Yeah, document. And I wish I could remember what the thing was. But that gives the people who listen, they can go do some research too. Because I think we shouldn't just be spoon feeding people.
Right. This
Yeah,
is left
go-
as an exercise for the reader type thing.
Yeah. Go type in, go to anywhere other than Wikipedia. and then my other belief is that possibly that it was the previous I think maybe it was a previous polar site.
Oh yeah, that one
Then-
seems legit though. I feel like
Yeah.
there could be
And
something.
now that's not in any of the theories. I think I just pulled out a new one, and I might have to see if I can get onto Wikipedia and add that before I die.
I think you
No.
should. I've never been able to add anything to Wikipedia. Somebody is there constantly editing it.
Yeah,
I don't
like,
know if you've ever
oh,
done
who's this? Well,
Right.
once this this podcast is out, then we could say, well, on the counter to intelligence, Ken, who has a no doctorate in anything, said that it could have been the previous polar site.
That's a strong source right there. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. He thought it on himself. He done graduated high school. He knows things.
I like the grammar you're using. This is definitely Wikipedia worthy.
Yeah, I
Right.
went to a private Catholic school.
Yeah. Oh. And that's the grammar you gotten.
Yeah, I done learned things there. Yeah, we can get into that conspiracy too about me. Did I actually go to school?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people have been asking me that.
Yeah, my wife too. So
Yeah.
she's like, "Are you sure you have an education?"
I mean, the certificate's
Ah.
handwritten, but it's a certificate, right? So,
Yeah. I drew it with crayons, but
Right.
it still says graduated.
That's all you need.
Yeah, it has a year on it. Whatever.
Well, I'm
But
excited for our next episode. And
yeah,
next
so
episode, we planned it out. I think we got
yeah,
off the list.
yeah, I think Atlantis is a good one because like there are a lot of new theories of Atlantis, where it was, what it is, and that's another one of my favorite stories is Atlantis. So we will do Atlantis next, and
Perfect.
so I think we've come to the end. And those of you who thanks for checking us out. We are up. Guess how many views and listens we
I
have
have not checked. What are we up to?
Well, I mean, last week I told you we had at least 13. We are above 14 now.
Oh
We're
my
at
gosh.
15. No, I'm just kidding. We have more now. I'm not going to tell you the real number, but
Right.
we have more than 14.
More than 14. It could be 15. I love that our numbers are so precise. We're over next week. We might be over 15.
Yeah, possibly. But we also have our own little like dude who makes announcements for us. Our little animated friend.
He's very helpful.
Yeah, Agent C.
Agency.
So,
I like agency.
Yeah, so he like, so go check him out too. He's in a bunch of little shorts. He does little shorts and he's going to be doing some more he'll be throwing out some little facts every now and then too.
He might be
Besides-
kind of the star of the show. He's really taken over. Agencies everywhere. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, he's on our Instagram page. He's on our YouTube channel. So, but he's nice. He likes us. He says good things about us both.
He does. And you have to watch carefully the stuff that appears in the background.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on
Yeah.
that he seems to be unaware of. So I
Right.
don't know how good of an agent he is. So, but yeah,
You should talk to Supervisor D or whoever,
Yes.
is in charge over there.
Supervisor D. I don't know. He may have been fired. I mean, because a lot of these agents are getting canned. So I don't know what's
That's true.
going on there.
He didn't want
So,
to return to work. So
yeah. Hope it's the agency. Like he doesn't come into the office. So I don't know how much longer he'll be around, but he's always out somewhere. So there you go.
All
But
right.
yeah, so there you go. Well, I thank the people who checked us out and listened to us. And Tom, thank you for making time. I know you're a
thanks,
busy
man.
man.
Yeah.
So next week's episode, Atlantis. So be prepared. We're gonna dive into that subject.
We're going to solve it. I mean, we're going to solve it. If we find Atlantis on the episode
I
live,
think I know exactly where Atlantis is. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say it right now. I know exactly, and I'm not kidding. I know exactly, and I'm gonna bring you pictures that we'll put up.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Now, so we should have people tune in live because no one's found it, but you know exactly where it is. And next
Yeah.
week it will be revealed.
I'm going to reveal where it is. Some people may know this one, but it's one that I found a couple years ago. And I was like, dude, that's pretty crazy. But I'm going to give you all the places people think it is. But then I'm going to give you exactly where I know it is.
All right. Can we take a field trip there too in like a future episode?
Maybe someday if we can afford it.
If we can get to our 17th listener. It might
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. If we can get 17 listeners, we'll be bringing in the big bucks. And we can afford to invest in buying Google Earth, which is free.
Which is
And-
great.
And then
Definitely pay
check
for
it
the
out.
free stuff. Yeah.
See, and that's part of my conspiracy on the flat Earth. Google doesn't want it to be flat because then what are they going to do? They can't have Google Earth anymore. They have
Right.
to have Google Plate. And what
That's
are they
going
going
to
to do?
change their business model so much.
Yeah, screws up everything. Globalists. So anyway, I think that
Anyway.
means something else. But
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe
so-
it does. I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you all for stopping by. And I've said that before, but we'll see you next week.
See you next week.